Okay, hello everyone, Clarke Towson here. I'm the CEO of INTJ Billing. Today's video, I'd like to talk about an email from a company named Pantera Capital. I'm on Pantera Capital's mailing list. Pantera Capital is a VC firm, and Dan Moorhead is the head of that firm. I'd like to go through a couple of parts of their latest newsletter because it is instructive. Okay, it is instructive thinking about the bigger picture, thinking about where we currently are with crypto and with Bitcoin and with everything that's gone on with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX and all the problems that we've had throughout 2022. I think it's very instructive to keep some of this stuff in mind. So, Pantera Capital newsletter. A couple of parts from this. They're talking about the next Bitcoin block reward halving, and the halving is nigh. The next halving is predicted to occur March 22nd, 2024. It's less than a year and a half away. The mining reward will decrease from 6.25 BTC per block to 3.125 BTC per block. And then there's a bit of a discussion about efficient markets. And efficient market theory would hold that if we all knew that this was going to happen, i.e. another big run up after the next block reward halving, as has happened in all previous times when Bitcoin has gone through a block reward halving, then everybody, it has to be priced in. People would be purchasing it now. But then he talks about Warren Buffett. The market's almost always efficient, but the difference between almost and always is $80 billion to me. Thus, even if we think everybody knows something, it doesn't mean there isn't a ton of money to be made, right? Yeah, it's interesting because I've done a huge amount of research, deep research into Bitcoin. Obviously, my background as a computer scientist, I'm able to uh, glean insights that the average person isn't able to, and I'm able to cut through all the bullshit that goes on out there, okay, and get to the crux of matters. So, Pantera Capital got this graph on screen now. Bitcoin halving rallies, and you can see that where the halving is with that the white vertical lines, and you can see the increase in Bitcoin, both pre and then post halving. Now, if you look at the prices that they've predicted there, they're talking about 2024, $35,638 per Bitcoin, and then 2025, 26, more 2026, 100, almost 100, almost 150,000 US per Bitcoin, right? They're talking about if history were to repeat itself, the trough would be in about 2 weeks' time, the bottom of Bitcoin, about 2 weeks' time. And then we'll see a rally into early 2024, and then a strong rally after the actual halving, right? So Pantera Capital knows what's going on. Look, I'm not recommending Pantera Capital. Um, what I'll say, that they're a venture capital firm. Their research is spot on when it comes to like a lot of the stuff that VCs do. I don't like. All right, that's the bottom line. Like I just don't like some of the stuff they do. But Pantera Capital in these reports, there is a lot to be gleaned from them. So I recommend to anyone who's watching these videos, go to Pantera Capital's website, sign up to receive their newsletter because the insights that Dan and the team provide are exceptionally good, right? About Bitcoin. Now, the other stuff that they provide insight into DeFi and the rest of the tokens, I take some of that stuff with a grain of salt. Um, I don't have any kind of like they have an advantage when it comes to that because they're VCs, and I'm not going to go too much into that. But suffice to say, the Bitcoin stuff that they produce is really fantastic, right? So looking at this, 150,000 US per Bitcoin in we're in 2020, almost 2023 now, 3 years time. Now, if you think about it, right now, given what's going on within the wider cryptocurrency space and with the terrible year that we've had in 2022, the average person on the street is not going to be like if you were to say in 3 years' time, I predict Bitcoin will be 150,000 US or about $220,000 Australian per Bitcoin. They would say, you're crazy, you're insane, it's not going to happen, and so on and so on and so forth, right? But we've seen in the past what has gone on. I remember during the pandemic, March 2020, I was working in high performance computing. I'm sitting there and I'm looking around and I couldn't believe it because Bitcoin had crashed. And I'm looking around at my colleagues and I'm thinking, none of them are even talking about this opportunity to buy Bitcoin at such a low price. What are these people doing, right? And they knew about Bitcoin because I'd been talking about it for years. So I spent that day just buying up as much Bitcoin as I could get my hands on. Think about today, right? Think about today. Bitcoin has been thrown out. The baby's been thrown out with the bathwater. What's gone on with FTX, right? So we've got a similar situation. Well, I won't say it's a similar situation. We've got a situation today where the price of Bitcoin has fallen substantially, and there's a lot of negative perception out there about the whole cryptocurrency industry. Sam Bankman-Fried and others, all right, Alex Mazinski at Celsius, the 3 Arrows Capital guys, Do Kwon, Luna. These guys have set the industry back years, right? They really have. But none of them, at the end of the day, it doesn't change what Bitcoin is, where Bitcoin's going. It doesn't change the fact that in less than a year and a half, Bitcoin will go through a block reward halving. There'll be a supply shock, and the block reward to the miners gets cut in half, and the supply of Bitcoin will be the scarcest asset on Earth in less than a year and a half's time. Is anybody talking about that at the moment? No. I mean, Pantera Capital is talking about it. How many people have signed up to Pantera Capital's newsletter though? If you go onto Google right now, type in Bitcoin, you'll see the news is dominated by negative headlines. It's dominated by what's gone on with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried, who apparently has escaped to Argentina, and he's the authorities are watching him because he's wanting to go to a non-extradition country. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So the Pantera Capital and this newsletter, please sign up for it. Have a good look through the latest email that they've sent out. The title of this email is FTX underscores the importance of DeFi. Pantera blockchain letter, November 2022. Right. It's direct from their CEO, Dan Moorhead. INTJ Billing is a Bitcoin heavy company. INTJ Billing utilizes Bitcoin as a reserve treasury asset. You can think of what I'm doing as a very micro example of what Michael Saylor over at MicroStrategy has done. He's loaded up his balance sheet with Bitcoin. So whatever happens with the price of Bitcoin, that can greatly affect how the public sees his company. It can affect the value of his company. Same with INTJ Billing. a year ago when Bitcoin was about 93,000 Australian dollars, my company was worth a lot more, right? Purely because of the amount of Bitcoin that I carry, right? I could have done a whole lot more just 1 year ago. Now I can't go into acquisition mode here in Pattaya. I can't go and buy up a bar or a number of bars. Well, I mean, I could go and buy a bar. I could buy a couple, but I'm not going to do that because the value of the Bitcoin on my balance sheet is I consider it to be at a low, right, compared to a year ago. Now, how long before I will be able to start thinking about doing that? Before I will be able to expand and do a whole lot of stuff. Well, based on what Pantera Capital is saying, based on my experience with Bitcoin, I think that they're spot on. Right, I really do. So, based on this, we're looking at about 3 years to the next market peak. If the market peak is 220,000 Australian dollars, um, maybe that would be the time that I start thinking about doing, branching out, buying a business here, a bar business or something like that, hiring some workers over here to help me with what I'm currently doing, and so on. So I've got some time. Got some time between now and then. When I came over here to Pattaya, I thought after I left my government full-time role, I thought I could play this a couple of ways. There were two main ways I thought I could play it. I could go and get another job, or I could come over to here to Pattaya and wait things out. Now, even at the time, at the time when I left my job, I was looking towards the next block reward halving, right? I was looking towards this as a long-term investor. And I think that this is the time for me to do stuff, right? About 3 years into the future, right? Pantera Capital, I think, is spot on with this newsletter, with what they've put out. It doesn't mean that I think the price is going to hit 150,000 US, as they've said. It may not, right? It may go higher, it may be lower than that. Who knows? But as with all history, it tends not to repeat, but it does tend to rhyme, right? So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that today. And I guess my advice to people watching this video is Bitcoin is a long-term thing, right? I can't emphasize that enough. And where we come, like my philosophy has always been, and my strategy has always been, dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin over a long period of time. If I need to sell, dollar cost average out of it over a long period of time. Okay. Other people don't seem to be thinking that way. Okay. See the crazy stuff that's gone on in the markets. My mode of thinking about this, and again, this isn't just my mode. There are other people within the Bitcoin space. Matthew Cratter over at Trader University. He's someone I very highly recommend. That's his strategy as well, to dollar cost average into Bitcoin over a long period of time. So back in when the market crashed in late 2017, early 2018, I was buying all of 2018, all of 2019, all of 2020. I was buying that entire time, right? Other people don't seem to think that way. I don't know, all right? Do I know too much? I mean, look, I put it out. Pantera Capital has put it out on the street. Now I'm putting it out on the street in these videos, right? So okay, all right, the market. If the market is efficient, as per the efficient market theory, okay, and when it comes to the efficient market theory, there's the strong form, there's the weak form. I'm somewhere between, somewhere in the middle when I think about efficient markets, right? Sort of like what Warren Buffett said. For the average person, it's not trying. I don't see the average person winning trying to time markets. Okay, But to a person who is into Bitcoin and knows what's going to happen because of the block reward halvings and the supply shock and what's coming up, there's an opportunity right now to be buying up Bitcoin, right, at a cheap price and to dollar cost average into it over the next couple of years. And when the block reward halving occurs and the supply shock occurs and it becomes the scarcest asset on earth, right, the market will wake up. Why isn't the market awake right now? It's the equivalent of, I found 20 baht on the sidewalk here in Pattaya. I didn't believe it when I saw it. I thought there's 20 baht on the sidewalk, right? I actually took a photograph of the 20 baht because I just did not believe that somebody hadn't picked it up already, right? But that's the situation. That's what's currently going on within the markets. You've got the graph, you've got the research here. Decide, I guess, what you want to do. I think it's really instructive and important to remember all this sort of stuff, right? Based on what's going on in the markets at the moment. Okay. Yeah, really important because nobody else seems to be talking about what is important. Obviously, I'm utilizing Bitcoin as a reserve treasury asset on my balance sheet. I'm doing the same thing on my personal balance sheet. I'm over here trying to innovate, to use Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Lightning Network, as a payment system, the payment rails to pay Thai bar girls in Thai baht. Yeah, it's not priced in, is it? It's just not priced in. If you look at the current price of Bitcoin, it's not priced in what's going to happen with the block reward halving in a year and a half's time. Anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to discuss today. All the best, everyone. I'm Clarke Towson, CEO of INTJ Billing.